Welcome to Wise Beyond Bitcoin, your home for the crypto neo news, education, and opportunities. My name is Ryan.
My name is Lucas, and welcome to another economic update. Of course, we do like to cover blockchain and crypto innovation. We've got playlists to actually DeFi tutorials, walk you through how to set up a wallet, send, and staking, proof of stake. We've got, we like to do updates on what is developing in blockchain, but blockchain and crypto is just one technological sector. It's a new emerging market in the grand economy. And what we really like to do is look at the economy at large and how all of this works together. And in that macroeconomic development, there are some themes that we've been talking about for a long time in this video. None of the themes are financial advice, commercial advice, legal advice, or marital advice. They're all just educational, entertainment, information, research. We drop the links below so that you can do your research to know and help you grow in your blockchain crypto journey. But yeah, what's the themes? Leverage. We've been talking about that a lot of blockchain and crypto is heavily leveraged with institutional money. So as traditional markets unwind, don't be surprised to see massive unwinding in blockchain and crypto. And we're starting to see that in announcements from hedge funds having to hit their margin calls. Something else we've been talking about is the Fed raising their rates. We've talked about that for several months since they've been talking about it. We've been talking about it. And so if you've been following us, you know that we've been anticipating the beginning of the end for good times for quite some time. But the question now for a lot of people is, how long is this going to last? And what are some of the things that can be done to make it less painful? So inflation's been a big talk with printing. And I guess this is the segue. We just did a video not that long ago on inflation and the Fed, what they are going to try to do to fight inflation and what that means for the markets. But you've mentioned this. I think you even pulled up an article to explain on a previous video, but let's just do it again. What have we been talking about as far as Fed limitations and maybe other ways to curb inflation?
Yeah, well, we just did a video on inflation and the fact that according to a Cleveland bank president, a Cleveland Federal Reserve Bank president, that it was expected that inflation will be a problem for at least another 2 years. And it's going to take that much time to get the target down to 2%. And of course, that means another couple years of tight monetary policy, rate hikes, selling off the balance sheet, constricting the supply of money and credit. And we've basically said that that's all a recipe for slowing the economy down, by design, in order to reduce inflation, which means get ready for there could be higher unemployment, there could be layoffs, there could be bankruptcies, just a kind of demand destruction. And then of course that applies to financial assets. Of course that applies to crypto assets. And then the other thing we've been talking about as a theme here is that the Fed is constrained with how much they can jack up interest rates, given the fact that we have such crazy amounts of debt held at the Treasury. And the higher the rate goes, the higher the interest payments go, and that there is a point where that becomes self-defeating and it just becomes deficit spending because of the lack of tax revenue to meet those obligations. And then you just get to money printing through the back door, which defeats the whole point of trying to constrain the supply of credit and reduce inflation. So there's this limit. There's this, they're kind of like they're in a box in a sense. And so the segue is, well, if the Fed can't be or if they're not the only solution or not the best solution, or if they need help, let's put it that way, they need help to solve this problem, then what are the other options? And this is one we've been talking up. We've definitely mentioned the tariffs and kind of asked, out loud, why has the Biden administration left the Trump era tariffs on China untouched, considering how, they were kind of controversial in the beginning. They led to this big trade war and it hurt the domestic economy. So why not undo some of this? And I guess maybe either we had the ear of somebody in the White House, or they just came across these ideas on their own. I'm not going to speculate, but the news is that the administration's looking at it.
The good news is the good news is these ideas are definitely not our ideas, and they're economic concepts that
Yes.
are easy to understand and find, and have been. Other people have been talking about this for sure, and it's good to see that they're looking at taking it to the next level, not just the Chinese tariffs, but other tax relief as well. Because the idea is when the economy is slowing down, you're getting into recession, depression territory. Well, that's not when you want to jack up taxes on the population. That's when you want to provide some relief in that area to allow for some growth again. And that's basically the good news that's coming out right now, is that, okay, while the Fed is, while they are doing things to raise rates and to curb inflation on their end, as we mentioned in our previous videos, they're limited. There's not enough they can do there. And there's going to be, and also it hurts the economy when you take that action. So there are things that can be done while the rates are being raised that can provide relief for retail, for the consumer, and as the price of the pump, so to speak.
And not only are they looking at removing some of the tariffs on China, they're also looking at pausing the federal gas tax, which would help bring gas prices down. That'd be very welcomed, I'm sure. But beyond that, I want to highlight something here that needs to be discussed, because it kind of reiterates the point you just made. And it's that, here we go. Former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, he suggests that the likelihood that the Fed is going to do what is necessary to stop inflation, or the likelihood is that in order to do what is necessary, the Fed has to raise rates high enough that the economy will slip into a recession.
Right.
So that's kind of that's the point, is that in order for them to really solve this 40-year, 40-year record inflation problem, they have to raise rates significantly higher than what they've done previously, and that all signs point that that's a key to creating a recession. So this means that it'd be great if we could find another way to bring inflation down that didn't involve a recession producing kind of a policy like a drastic Fed rate hike. And that's one of the things that I'd like to mention is that tariffs are taxes on people's on consumption, right? They're definitely regressive. They tend to hit the people with the least least means, right? People who pay. Now you go to Walmart and everything costs a little bit more. Well, those are the people who shop in those circles are the ones who are hurt more than, say, somebody who's making a lot of money, and their their personal clothing and food prices are a smaller fraction of their expenditures, and so they're not going to maybe see a 10% markup on imports as being that big of a deal. But when your cost of living is so much a larger fraction of your income, those 10% or whatever rate hikes, that really does eat into your living standards. So it not only is there not only does it create inflation to have high tariffs, it also it penalizes certain people more than others. And of course, the idea is that we, when we had to bail out, when the United States government bailed out the farming sector, that's soybean farmers and some other exporters, as a result of these tariffs, it was billions of dollars that they had to print. I mean, it was a large amount of money. And I think it rivaled the GM bailout that happened after the housing crisis in 2008. So we're talking about a policy that not only harms people who are poor, it also harms sectors like the farming sector, because as we put tariffs on Chinese goods, they put tariffs on ours as a retaliation. And so we end up exporting less. And farmers are some of those exporters that are very sensitive to price changes, right? They're already on the margin of profitability. So whenever they lost that market, it really hurt. And there was a lot of farmers that lost their farms, couldn't make it, and were going to go under. So the bailout was necessary. It's not, it was, maybe, it's arguable whether or not it was necessary, but it was definitely there was a problem that it created. Let's put it that way. The tariffs created a real problem. So there's just so many arguments for doing away with them that it seems like, if it had to take 40-year record-breaking inflation to get us there, then great. But really, this should have been done day one of the Biden administration.
Well said. And look forward to seeing what else they what other tariffs they get rid of and abolish in these epic times, because we're definitely living through extraordinary times. The Fed making extraordinary measures, extraordinary debt, and extraordinary technology happening at the same time. I do feel as many times as people refer to different boom and bust cycles, like the tech boom and the housing boom, this clearly is going to take some time to play out, years easily. But
Yeah.
for some reason, through Bitcoin and crypto and blockchain, I do feel that in this interim, and it could be during this bear market, this consolidation, but it makes sense to see a bit of a decoupling, or at least a level of growth to take off in this sector that is unprecedented and not seen in previous markets. Only because at the moment, the potential is still to replace financial institutions, identity, supply chain communication issues. I mean, data storage, messaging. I mean, we're looking at not just new markets being displaced and put on the blockchain, but previous markets being made more efficient and put on the blockchain. So,
and I could see a flight to quality playing out too, where some of the altcoins lose out to some of the blue chips, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or others we haven't seen yet or thought about yet.
And we're so early. There are people, developers and teams building blockchain applications and protocols that don't even exist yet that could end up being the movers of the future. So you're definitely not too late to do your own research and start learning about blockchain and crypto, this new market emerging in the economy, as you understand how the economy at large is unfolding too. You know where to go to learn about it, and subscribe, notification bell, thumbs up, give us the love, keep the desk lamp lit. We've got those donation addresses below. Until the next time, have a beautiful day. Namaste, y'all.
Thank you.